to noon.
Time for two more.
Just listen. Just listen.
9 to noon is in the air on a Wednesday. Blue skies for today, and welcome to FM 100.3 KFAN. This is the 9 to noon experience. I'm Paul Allen. Nordo by my side. He's mad producer. And right out of the gate, a very special guest joining us.
Denard Span.
What's going on there, D-Span?
I'm doing good. What's happening?
Good hearing from you, man. Excellent work the last couple of games with the Twins broadcast down at Tampa St. Pete Way. Are you enjoying yourself, Denard?
I am. As each game goes by, I'm learning to love it and having a good time in the booth with Corey.
Your Minnesota Twins, it's a gritty squad. I mean, just battling away despite mucho injuries. Now, I know they lost last night 2-1, but they seem mentally tough. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I think you could characterize it that way because, like you just said and mentioned, as far as them, having to, come together as a squad with, so many injuries and so many guys out. And, there's still a lot of talent, within that organization. It's a young ball club, but, you got to give kudos to Rocco, the front office, and everybody involved. They got the guys, still playing really good competitive baseball.
What your Buccaneers, Denard Span? What do you think of old Baker Mayfield this season? D-Span?
I haven't kept up, during the preseason as much. But I'd like to think, that he'll have a solid season. He had a breakout year last year for the Bucks. Him and Mike Evans, I thought connected and gelled really well. This will be year 2 in this system. So I got to imagine, he'll take a couple steps forward and be hungry to continue to get better.
What do you mean you haven't kept up? I mean, like what are you doing with your time these days, Denard Span?
Well, you know what? I just, only have 3 little ones under the age of 6. Trying to keep up with 2 teams. I call games for the Twins and the Tampa Bay Rays. So aside from that, nothing.
Right. And you living in Tampa St. Pete and working Twins and or Rays broadcasts, and you've also done some work with the Tampa Bay baseball team in the past. I'd imagine you know Jeffrey Springs quite well, and I know that there've been some injuries in the mix, but I mean my man A had it yesterday, but he's always kind of been highly touted, right?
No, actually not.
Really?
He came on the scene 2022. He had a breakout year, but before that, he was kind of an under the radar type of pitcher. He's a left-handed pitcher. Doesn't throw particularly hard, 90 to 92. If you watched the game last night, he was like 89 to 90. He's coming off Tommy John surgery.
Okay.
But he just has figured it out, and he has a really good changeup and mixes the ball on both sides of the plate really well.
I think David Festa's improving, isn't he? Seems to be getting better start by start.
Yeah, I really like him, man. He's a fine young player, really good pitcher. He has a good arm. His fastball explodes out of his hand. That slider's devastating. He's upped the usage on that pitch as of late, and he's been able to use that in big spots. And then that changeup that he throws as well is very nice. He'll throw it like a split finger sometimes, and he'll also use it as like a traditional changeup where it fades off the plate as well. But the future is definitely bright for him.
How many roughly how many people at the game last night?
Including myself, probably like 530.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so sad.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
No.
I'm joking. Probably. I don't know. I'm bad at guessing. Stuff like that.
It's like 5,000.
8. Yeah, somewhere between 5 to 10,000.
Well, it might be between 3 and 6,000, and I'm not one to like bang my fist down and say retract that team. It has to move. But yeah, it's so sad. Just nobody goes to those games. D-Span.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they're building a new stadium. They just got approved to do that in the same area. I know. Being a guy from Tampa, a lot of people in the Tampa community was hoping that the team would build it on the other side of the bridge here in Tampa instead of St. Petersburg. But it got approved in St. Pete, and it looks like it's going to be, a cool stadium, a cool setup. They're going to try to build, kind of like a whole city, whole town around the stadium with a bunch of businesses and mixed retail, mixed living, apartment buildings, condos. So hopefully that'll, maybe bring more people, to the games with everything that they will be building around it.
Twins Immortality, Denard Span.
Denard Span.
He joins 9 to noon. That's 9:06. This from
Denard Span.
back in the day when D-Span was a weekly
Stop that, man. Please stop it.
Well, why is it making you laugh? You were a weekly guest on the show,
funny,
man.
That's funny. It's funny. It's not like Barry White voice.
Yeah, I understand. Or Lou Rawls, you'll never find.
I like Lou. Yeah, Lou. I forgot about Lou Rawls.
But I mean, these 3 kids you got running around all under the age of 6. I think it's pulled you from a smell the roses moment where, I mean, you're once a professional athlete, always a professional athlete, and we have reverence for you, man.
Denard Span.
And the time you gave us on the radio, so we just want you to smell the roses a little bit for the greatness you provided this radio show and this baseball team. Okay.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you, man. I just say
no
thank
problem.
You. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You always have great conversations and great times and great memories with you.
Right, and likewise. And since one of our previous conversations, I subsequently have met the head of the Tampa Bay Lightning public relations to make sure for the next Lightning game you go to, you get better seats.
I always love that one.
Okay, so we when hockey season begins, we'll work on that. All right.
I appreciate that. I don't have too many connections in the hockey world. So, please connect me so I can have better seats. Thank you for that.
So these Cleveland Guardians, I mean, you talk about putting the pedal to the metal at the right time, like championship type teams do. I mean, that they're just putting the Royals right back in their place. That the Guardians are the best in the division, right?
I don't think so, but I mean they've shown that all season long, by evidence by them being ahead of the division. I still like our chances. It'd be nice to get Buxton and Correa back. I would like it even. I would like our chances even more.
Mm-hmm.
We can get those guys back. But yeah, Cleveland they have ran the table all season long, and they have experience on that ball club as well.
Right. I mean, when you get Jose Ramirez and Kwan and the Nailers and Jimenez, I mean, they got some nice bats there. They got Lively going today. Bybee represented well, and then the cat before him, I forgot his name, man. But they got their right pitchers going, great guns right now.
Yeah, like I said, I think they're just a more experienced team in comparison to the Kansas City Royals. The Royals, a young ball club. They kind of shocked everybody with how well they played. Obviously, Bobby Witt Jr. has, taken the league by storm and has been leading that ball club, and they've done a great job over there. That's a good series for the Guardians so far. And, we got a big series against Kansas City this week, and I think the following week we got Cleveland. So, for the Twins, everything is right there in front of them.
Is Mike Evans the most popular athlete in Tampa St. Pete?
You could argue that.
Right.
Yeah, I think you could argue that between him and even though Stamkos is not on the team anymore, I would say Stamkos and then Kucherov. This is Tampa's becoming a big hockey town as well. So I would say, yeah, between Mike Evans and one of those 2 hockey players I just named.
Do you ever get over to Clearwater? I mean, it's so super nice. Or let me guess, you and Annie probably live in Clearwater, right?
No, we don't live in Clearwater, and actually we do not get an opportunity to get over there much.
Why, too much traffic on that bridge?
Yeah, but yeah, we there's a bunch of beaches on that coast, and Clearwater it's closer. But we spend a lot of time in an area called Anna Maria, which is the beach coast around Bradenton area.
Mm-hmm. With your beloved Buccaneers, Denard Span, do you have season tickets? Do you go to a lot of games?
You know what? I did Brady's last year.
Ooh.
I had season tickets with my financial advisor. And then once Brady retired and Baker Mayfield came, I was like, I'm a collect those tickets. I think I'll sit at home and watch. I wanted to obviously watch, the one of the best ever do it. You don't get that opportunity. I'll go to at least 2 games this year. I don't have season tickets.
Yeah, this for Baker and from all sports, man. I mean, you know this. It's like when you get that deal, when somebody finally believes in you and gives you that deal, it's fair for people to wonder what's next, because not everybody tears it up after they get all that money. Some people just get fat and happy. You know what I mean?
That is true, and I'm hoping that's what doesn't happen with Baker. I feel like he had a really good year in Cleveland early in his career, and then after that he kind of fell off to the wayside, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the numbers in front of me or the stats in front of me, but I'm hoping that this is a good fit for him. This is a smaller market, in comparison to a lot of other teams, and so he can fly under the radar, and this town will treat him great as long as he honestly goes out there and just plays hard. He doesn't have to be great.
Right.
He just has to be a little bit better than average, and don't turn the ball over, and just give the team an opportunity to be in some ball games.
You got Kirk Cousins in the division now with the Atlanta Falcons, and they're all glitzy making trades for good defensive players. They got Drake London and Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, the tailback. Everybody's on Atlanta to just roll in the NFC South. You're an elite football mind, Denard Span. Do you see it that way?
I mean, on paper, yeah, they definitely have the I don't want to say advantage, but they're the favorites, if you will, on paper. But it's tough to bring that many new faces, new egos to a team and expect for them to gel right away in year one. It's either going to go really good, I think, in year one, or you could see them have some lumps in the road, and maybe year 2, year 3 they'll figure it out. It could go either way, in my opinion.
All right, baseball to close. Who do you like to come out of the American League? Who do you like to get to the World Series from the AL?
I mean, you got some tough ball clubs. I mean, the Houston, they're always tough. Baltimore, New York. I mean, I feel like that's a trick question here, man. You got me on a Minnesota station, and you're asking who do I want to come out of the AL.
No, it's not. It's not want.
If I don't say the Twins,
no.
Then what do you mean?
Well, no, but that's not the case. No, you don't. A, you're D-Span.
Okay.
B, Bally's and the Twins should be begging people to watch broadcasts after how long they were not available. And you're D-Span. So it's not who you want to come out of the American League. You're an elite. Yeah, you're an elite baseball mind.
Okay. This is fair. This is fair right here.
Thank you.
If Correa and Buxton can come back and hit the ground running, I will take the Twins. If that does not happen, then I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Orioles.
Well, the Orioles, you say, holy cow, Gunnar and Adley and Santander. I mean, they're good and everything.
I'll go with those guys.
Yeah, but they get a little punchless there sometimes too. Now, I do like their pitching though. Don't you like their pitching?
They do. But they just seem like a team that they came out of nowhere last year, and they've kind of continued a sustainable success last year and a half or so. And I don't know, they're young and they're exciting, and I don't know, I could see them maybe squeaking in and getting hot at the right time in October. So that's my pick.
I like Cedric Mullins. Do you like Cedric Mullins?
Yes.
Yeah,
I love the way he plays the game. I think offensively he struggled a little bit this year, but he plays a heck of a center field. He has the ability when he is, right at the plate, he can hit 25, 30 home runs. So, he's definitely a dynamic player.
Any last one? Any of your 3 kids in kindergarten yet?
Yeah, my oldest. Well, no, actually, I'm lying. My oldest is in first grade, and my middle's in pre-K.
Okay. Now, do you remember how special and emotional it was when the first child got on the first bus to go to like kindergarten from your house or your neighborhood?
Well, where we live, my kids are in private school, so they haven't got on the
I understand that
school bus yet. So, but we drop them off to school. But that was a big moment. I mean, taking them to his first day of like real school. It wasn't like a glorified preschool or daycare. But it was I would say it was an emotional day. Just seeing your baby, go off to school for the first time and not having them around the house all day long.
Was it more emotional for you or Annie?
I would say mom for sure.
Yeah,
mom.
Well, it's got to be mom, right? Hey, we got there's this PWHL up here and Professional Women's Hockey League and the Minnesota team, I believe, won the championship. I don't know. I mean, if Annie, not saying she's not in shape, but if she gets in like game shape, I mean, holy cow, that could be a resurgence. It could be like new income, right?
Hey, I'm all for it. There's no question if she put her mind to it and made a decision to be all in, that she could go and still play at a high level right now. Just knowing who she is. I mean, she's not that old. She's 34. I know for a fact she could do it. It just would be, trying to get her, out of mom mode. If we could get her out of that, I know for a fact she would be able to go in there and kick butt. Yeah,
Mike, we're dads, we're men, but nevertheless, mom mode doesn't sound bad. I mean, mom mode sounds kind of good, you know what I mean?
She's very happy and content in mom mode.
Good. And you sound great, and you sound great on the TV. We'll be watching you again tonight. Let's stay in touch during the football season. Best of luck to your Buccaneers, Mr. Denard Span, and thanks for the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Do the Bucs play the Vikings this year?
We have no Buccaneers this year. In December, we have Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons coming to U.S. Bank Stadium, and that's going to be good.
Yes, sir. Well, I'll be in contact, and good luck with you as well calling the games.
Yep. God bless you, my man. See you later.
All right. Yep. Bye-bye.
See ya. Denard Span. At This Is D-Span, if you would be nice enough to follow him on Twitter, as 9 to Noon does. Little Kevin to catch up with old D-Span. A distracted D-Span. The old Bluetooth and the window down trick. Yeah, welcome to Wednesday, 9 to Noon. It's Paul Allen. Thanks
You're riding the levels over here in the Broad studio.
I saw that left hand right in the levels because of the old distracted Denard Span. The old window down going wobble on it. Thanks to TimberTech and TimberTech.com. What's on deck 9 to Noon today includes Mike Florio from PFT. Yeah, he's in Kansas City, which means he actually had to get on an airplane and fly somewhere. Florio is in Kansas City for the Life Changer, Baltimore and KC tomorrow night. Bears play-by-play voice Jeff Joniak is 75% to join 9 to Noon at 10:03. 75%, which is better than 50. And then after that, a Pat Leonard from the New York Daily News. He's a columnist and a beat writer. He's going to give us some adversarial update on the Big Blue Wrecking Crew. But alas, there is much, much more today, 9 to Noon. A radio show produced by Eric Nordquist, and I'm Paul Allen. Thank you, TimberTech, and most importantly, thank all of you for listening to FM 100.3 KFAN.
The Fan.
9:23, pressure points for your Minnesota Vikings into the 2-0-2-4 and into this game against the Giants. And this is courtesy of FVP Batteries. Thank you, FVP. Nordo?
Pressure points. And you started it off with the absolute A topic of A topics yesterday, PA. Pressure points into week one, really pressure points into 2024. And that all starts and stops with Sam Darnold. But moving forward, specifically into Sunday's game, I've picked out a few that I think are very interesting to watch on Sunday, not only against the Giants, but I want your opinion on the level of pressure that these individuals might be undertaking as we begin the 2-0-2-4. And I'm going to start with left guard Blake Brandel. And the reason I look at that as a pressure point is the interior of this offensive line, whether it was throughout the summer or specifically into this game. The Giants have a say in how things go with Dexter Lawrence. They have a say in this with Brian Burns. We know the names on that squad. Kayvon Thibodeau, although he's going to be more on the outside. The pressure point here is the conversation that we had from Dalton Risner not on the team to Dalton Risner on the team to there being a left guard competition to potentially Ed Ingram having to work in his job. And the interior O-line for me, specifically Blake Brandel, earning that spot, that is a significant pressure point for me.
FVP, reach for what works. Reach for what works, you were saying?
Reach for what works. And Blake Brandel, we don't want him reaching. We want that anchor. And you were conversing with Kevin O'Connell yesterday, and we've heard and we will hear a little coordinator's corner taking place around 10:35 today. So we'll hear from Wes Phillips on the offensive line side of things. But the idea that working an improvement in passing protection in particular, that was a big part of what Kevin O'Connell was talking about when ultimately Blake Brandel's in the spot. What does Blake Brandel have to do? What did he do throughout camp? O'Connell's quote was he's had as most consistent a camp as anybody on the team. Mm-hmm. And I think the quote actually almost verbatim was, because he's doing what he's coached to do.
Right.
And so if you're looking for a size improvement at that spot, you're looking at a pass protection improvement at that spot, then Blake Brandel in camp has done all of those things. But you go through the long list, and nowadays, every single week, it feels like every team's got a fat guy in the middle that poses a problem. Dexter Lawrence, week 1, into the Niners, into Houston and beyond. This is going to be a common theme. We're going to Lambeau week 4, and it's going to be Kenny Clark, fresh off that new deal, and he's always given the Vikings problems. A pressure point for me, Blake Brandel,
very
earning
fair.
the spot, keeping the spot,
yep.
and doing his work on that interior of the O-line.
Very fair. It is a pressure point because it's new. Now, there are pressure points for all of them to a certain extent, but the magnification of certain pressure points in the belief of 9 to noon are scenarios where if they work well, if they work the way the team believes they will work, well, that could tilt things over the top to, best compete for a division title or to make it to the postseason as a wild card. Brandel's in the mix. Because he'll start more games this year than he's ever started in his life. Now, he's bigger than Dalton Risner. So Risner, when he got here and they traded Ezra Cleveland, it just seemed apparent that the pass protection with Dalton and Dalton's nimble feet were something that the team seemed to mostly like. Now, when you got somebody in front of you and you got to move them forward, and run scheme and stuff like that, I'm not elite Vince Lombardi mind here to know exactly how well or poorly he did in that, but I just know that there was a new guy in the spot before they re-signed Risner. So you can take that as you will. It's Dalton Blake is bigger than Dalton Risner. So the size component of it meshed with the scholar of the game approach, which leads to as good a training camp performance via listening, copyright KOC, as anybody in the covenant, that's going to hold your spot. But now the pressure point begins this weekend because things go fast, things change, and everything you've worked on, 25%, 28% actually happens during the course of the game, and you have to maneuver on the fly. And they believe Brandel can do that. That's a very pivotal, very good pressure point into the 2024.
This is more short-term than long-term, PA, but a pressure point for me into week 1 would be tight ends not named T.J. Hawkinson, and that's Josh Oliver, that's Johnny Munt, and that's Nick Muse. Between the three of them, by the way.
I got Johnny on a big game this weekend.
Well, I like that. That means that if everything is going the way the team wants it to go, that's nothing but success, and Josh Oliver is a big part of that conversation. They had 52 targets between the three of them a year ago, 28 for Oliver, 23 for Munt, and just a single one for Nick Muse. 127 targets for T.J. Hawkinson in a season in which he only played 15 games, was hurt for a portion of that one against the Lions. And so that has been in this offense after Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison is going to have his say in this, of course, and he got a lot of extra work in during Jefferson's injury. But this tight end spot's massive. And Josh Oliver, your focal points in terms of I've seen him improving actually in the pass-catching game, and clearly that's been a focus for him in the offseason to improve on that. Kevin O'Connell, again, I keep referencing it. If you missed it, you can podcast it. It'll be X's and O's with head coach Kevin O'Connell tonight as well at 6:30. Looking forward to that. But talking about ball security, those sorts of things, that was an issue a year ago. And in lieu of Hawkinson for at least the first 4 games, Josh Oliver has to be on that big game that you're putting him on. Johnny Munt has to be that option in certain situations that we need him to be in lieu of T.J. Hawkinson, because that all plays into things going according to the way the team needs them to go. If Sam Darnold is working, that means the tight end situation is solid as well.
I have Johnny Munt on a big game, not Josh Oliver, if I said it the wrong way. And when I say big game, I mean, I'm talking 5, 6, 7 catches, but I'm not talking 5, 6, 7 for 90 and 3. It's the way I believe they will use Munt until Hawkinson returns is going to involve out cards, safety valves, and attaining first downs. And also inside the 10, he's pretty sneaky good. So it's the tight end spot for the Minnesota Vikings it's not a conundrum, but when a couple of years ago when they traded for T.J. Hawkinson, it's because that there was an injury where they were having problems getting bodies off Justin Jefferson. So they traded for Hawkinson. First game, I think he's targeted 9 times. And all of a sudden bodies en masse are not handling Justin Jefferson, the way they were. Well, now without TJ, I mean, if Justin is not double teamed every single play with the secondary the Giants are putting out there, then I will be flabbergasted. Which means, so what's Johnny have to do? He has to beat a group of linebackers and or safeties who either are new or they're focused on rushing the quarterback in what was a pretty blitz-heavy defense, but I think it's changed over the last year and change. So Johnny in safety valve fashion, I think he's going to move the chains at least 3 times, maybe 4 times. And Oliver, Josh Oliver's a game plan guy, where when Oliver's in the game, you have to, I would imagine you have to work really, really hard to not have a run first tell. But the game plans against the Vikings start and stop with Justin Jefferson. Oliver's right behind him, because when he's in the game, if you're caught off guard in with the fits in certain situations, well, then he's just going to mash you backwards and you're going to get a nice game. So the tight end situation isn't glitzy, but Johnny's going to come through this weekend with some good stuff.
This could be a dumb question. You think there's any element with Josh Oliver when he came from Baltimore to Minnesota and the complexity of the offense and some of the things he was asked to do here that he wasn't asked to do prior to that? Is there any element there where it's like there was a learning curve for him? Was he stepping outside of his comfort zone that maybe led to a slow start last year?
That's an excellent question, because it's noteworthy that it's noteworthy with the first offense who was playing in the first preseason game against Seattle and who wasn't. And Josh played. Okay, and it was an indicator to me that they just needed to see more with certain things that they were doing, that they probably will do versions of them in the regular season. And I'm sure they did, but he played in that game. And, now with Josh and more size at left guard and Aaron Jones, who's better than any back we had last year, I truly believe that we'll get a chance to really see via a lot of replays. I mean, Josh played well last year. You know, there are a lot of deep diving replays or film work you can do where an 8 is not an 8 without Oliver's work. It's a 2. Okay, and that could be like on first or second down.
Right.
So Josh is a dirty work guy. I've just always believed that there's more catch to him than maybe we've seen. But Oliver's fine. He's a game plan kind of guy because he's so good at one thing, moving man and paving the way in the running game.
One final pressure point for you, and then we're going to head down to, I believe he's in Kansas City, Mike Florio, for next segment. I'm going to focus on defense tomorrow with you on this, but today it's the kicker. Will Reichard looks so good in practice, PA. He looked good in preseason games, but now the games count. You made a decision to not bring Greg Joseph back, and you in some ways left yourself beholden to what was available on the free agent market or the draft. And they identified this kid. They drafted him. They took him. They made the competition basically like a 36-hour competition. They're like, okay, we've seen what we need to see. Reichard's our guy. If everything goes the way it's supposed to go, this is tough for Vikings fans. This is a touchy subject. This is a pressure point in its own right. Will Reichard is one for me. I look until this team proves to me by putting 40 on the board, maybe that happens on Sunday. I think this team plays in a lot of close games this season.
Right.
And I think Reichard's a massive pressure point for this team.
Yeah, their Vikings kickers personify pressure point. Because every game's always close. It's interesting you said that because I was thinking about that driving in. Is every single game going to be of the spine-tingling ilk?
It's been like that for 3 years, man.
Right. Well, especially during the O'Connell run, it's like you either are winning or losing nose-to-nose finishes at the wire, or you're coming back from 33 down, or you're getting killed by Dallas. I mean, it's you know, I don't generally like to speak for other people or the team, but you know, just some conversations I've had with O'Connell where, you know, he wants things to be more comfortable. He wants faster starts. He wants better ball security, and he wants comfortability at the ends of some of these wins. So it all begins this weekend, noon, KFAN. It truly all begins tomorrow night with Baltimore and Kansas City. And Mike Florio from ProFootballTalk.com will be at Arrowhead tomorrow evening, and we'll run him down after this.
PFT.
What's going on there, Michael? How's Kansas City?
Kansas City is fine, Paul, although I'm restricting my movements to a very tight radius of activity because I've got a lot going on. So I'm at the hotel. We'll go to the stadium later today to rehearse. We'll come back. We'll do our show tomorrow morning. A couple of shows we're going to do before we head over to the stadium to get the season kicked off.
Yeah, you have quite the arduous opening weekend schedule, don't you? I mean, remembering from Twitter, I think you go to Connecticut after that, maybe for the Brazil game. Like, what's your docket look like?
Yeah, I came to Kansas City yesterday, and then we have a charter after the Thursday night game that's taken everyone who goes to Connecticut back to Connecticut for the Friday studio work in advance of the Brazil game between the Eagles and the Packers, and then hang around Saturday. Sunday is the full slate, week one, all day long, put together an hour and a half pregame show, get Rams-Lions started, hang around, do some more. Do the show the next morning, and then if I survive, head home.
Are you already missing Macy? Because absence does make the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, Macy's just kind of a pain in the ass lately because she stays stuck to her mother and wants nothing to do with me except when I have food. So it's nice to have a break from constantly being begged for my food. That's nice. So I don't mind that.
So I think I have the same thing with a King Charles Cavalier. So what you're saying is when your wife leaves, Macy becomes amazingly depressed, won't move, won't eat, and then mom comes back, your wife comes back, and everything's perfect, right?
Yeah. Oh, she just lays around with a sad face.
It's
except
ridiculous.
when I have food. When I have food, she perks up. When Jill is home and the two of us are sitting at the table, if we have the exact same food, she is parked by me. She senses that I'm the weak link
Yeah.
and that I am far more likely to turn food over to her than Jill will. So Jill's the alpha. I'm just living there. So, no, I don't miss that. It becomes, it's so bad that at night, and it gets worse as the day goes on, but at night, if I walk out of my office and step toward the TV room, if my wife's in there, the dog starts barking and barking and barking at me.
Yeah.
Because, she's protecting the alpha.
Yeah, get out of there, Beta. This is Mike Florio, by the way, ProFootballTalk.com, NBC's Football Night in America, and tomorrow night with Baltimore and Kansas City. What a doozy that is! Are you are you doing on-field hits tomorrow night like we I believe we saw last year? They were really cool.
Yes, I am. That's kind of what we do before
Excellent.
the game. We talk about the show, and I'll be talking about some things from time to time before the game starts, and then. They don't let us stay out on the field and watch the game. We have to go to the internal green room, wherever it is in Kansas City, and watch the game there. And then if whoever's on at halftime can come out then, and I think maybe after the game. But I'd really like to be able to stay out on the sideline and watch the game.
Yeah, that'd be spectacular. What do you think of the Twitter ban in Brazil and ways fans will be impacted while watching or listening?
Well, anybody who follows along on social media isn't going to have much to follow that's coming straight from people in Brazil, whether it's reporters or fans in the stands, assuming that ban makes it until Friday. I haven't seen anything about it since last Friday. I thought it was very interesting. It caused some to speculate that the NFL wouldn't play the game at all, which is kind of ludicrous. But, it is what it is, and the game will still be on TV. All the more reason to have Peacock so you can watch the game and not rely upon highlights posted to social media or whatever else you might see there straight from the game site. Watch the game, and you won't have any questions or any curiosity about what social media might be feeding you about the game.
So Mike wrote a story at ProFootballTalk.com about former Vikings receiver Stephon Diggs. Quote from a story in GQ. Last year, Buffalo, I was in the worst mental space I've been in since I've been in the league. If I'm not in a good space, obviously that's not best for me. So that's when things had to start shaking out. I didn't read the GQ story. This is the latest drama point for Stephon Diggs. What do you think?
Yeah, there's really nothing all that new in there. One of the things about these GQ articles that tend to pop up right before the season starts, a lot of times you'll get, and a lot of times it's very vague and open-ended. I recall once or twice where the athlete who was quoted has had a complaint on the back end that either he didn't say what he said, it was taken out of context, or he said what he said off the record and it was used. With Diggs, there's really nothing there that you look at and say, wow, that's an eye-opener. We knew it was toxic in Buffalo. We knew there was an issue in Minnesota. It's funny, the article describes it as Diggs wanting out because the Vikings had a run-heavy offense. I think he wanted out because he wasn't a believer in Kirk Cousins. It was the day that Cousins got his first extension after 2 years with the Vikings that Diggs tweeted that it was time for a change that same day. So, and he declines to get into any of the specifics, but it was obviously bad last year in Buffalo. It got very dysfunctional with their mandatory minicamp. They should have just traded him then to avoid whatever happened behind the scenes to cause him to feel the way that he felt, because that surely had an impact on the team, having him feel that way when he's such a key member of the organization. If he's feeling that way, it's going to impact the team, although they finally did get past it and nearly got to the AFC Championship. But down the stretch, he had 620 yards the first 6 games receiving. Down the stretch, he really faded. When they changed offensive coordinators, he basically became a forgotten man in the offense. So I think mentally, both sides were in the process of disengaging. So it's really not a surprise. And it would be nice if he'd tell the story about what exactly happened. But we can tell from the outside it wasn't good in Minnesota, it wasn't good in Buffalo, and now he's on team number 3. And no matter what his explanation is, when you get passed around like that, some of it is going to stick to the player.
PFT.
Speaking of the Vikings, Mike, how about that stray I caught over the weekend from Mike Zimmer in the Star Tribune story? He's trying to get through a holiday weekend, call some races, and I'm out here catching strays out of nowhere.
How dare you tell the truth when Mike Zimmer snapped during that weird shoving match with Kirk Cousins after the win over the Lions. How dare you say what your eyes were telling your brain? How dare you? I thought you were his friend.
Right.
I thought you would lie for a friend, create a false impression. I thought that you would come up with something better than, the truth. Here's the truth. Zimmer didn't do himself any favors saying the stuff he said. It'd be better to just shut your mouth, go to work, do well, and stick it to people that way. When you try to settle scores publicly like that, people aren't going to feel bad for you. People aren't going to be rooting for you. If anything, they're going to be rooting for you to fail.
Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com. Kansas City once again. Now that game tomorrow night's phenomenal. Derrick Henry and this powerhouse running offense. For me, it's the most fascinating thing going into the season. I mean, you think about it. You get that nimble fullback, Patrick Ricard, in front of him. That's 560 pounds of hard-charging man coming at a defense, and you're there to witness it.
Well, no, I won't be there to witness it because they make us watch it in the green room. Are you messing with me now?
Well, no, you're actually like at Arrowhead and
right. But I won't get to witness it on the sideline. I won't get to feel the impact.
Yeah.
Here's the reality: the Ravens ran the ball 11 times in the AFC Championship. 11 times. With Derrick Henry, it's probably going to be a few more than 11. Here's my question, though: he's 30. He's got a lot of wear and tear. At Alabama, he had a lot of wear and tear. There's always been a concern about the former Nick Saban tailbacks because he uses them aggressively in practice and in games. How much tread is on the tires when they get to the NFL? Here's a guy who's been in the NFL for nearly a decade now. Again, he turned 30 earlier this year. And I remember when Eddie George was performing at a very high level, he never had one specific injury that caused him to slip. He just got to a point where it wasn't working. I remember the Lawrence Taylor story. Bill Parcells, he said to him at one point, all these other guys seem fast now. Well, no, you're slowing down. Age is catching up with you. So it's going to happen at some point, and it happens earlier for running backs. Now, Frank Gore and Adrian Peterson seemingly kept going indefinitely, but it'll be interesting to see what Henry can do with a new team, with a new offense, with a quarterback who's a hell of a running threat, who has become an even more effective passer than he'd been in that stadium on that night, a year after the Chiefs got surprised by the Lions, so they'll be on guard for this one. And this is a game that resonates into the postseason potentially because if the two teams finish with the same record, this is the tiebreaker, even though it was a tiebreaker that was resolved way back in week one.
How did day one for Son of Mine go? The release of Mike's book, Son of Mine, the sequel to Father of Mine, released yesterday. How was the day?
Well, it was a good day, but it was weird because I finished our show and the reward was pack your stuff and get out the door. And I was traveling all day. So, it's a long, slow process. I promote it as much as I can. I hope people will give it a chance because it is very good. And you don't have to have read Father of Mine to enjoy Son of Mine. Although if you read Son of Mine and say, man, this is really good, I'd like to read the first book. It's not going to be the same experience because from page one of the second book, the ending is spoiled for the first book. So ideally, read the first one, but the second one is really good. The second one's better than the first one. The first one I was very happy with. The second one I'm very happy with. And we'll just see where it goes from here. We post the ad from time to time, and people will read it, and time will pass, and we'll see what happens. But I enjoy the process of creating. I love to hear from people who have read it and enjoyed it. And the feedback I get is surprisingly positive because usually the feedback I get for the stuff at PFT is 50-50. Hey, this is great, or hey, this sucks. So it's nice to get uniformly positive feedback on this other stuff. And I just enjoy it. It gives me balance. It gives me something that, I can do at night for a couple of hours to just even out the day, close it out the right way, and then get ready to start the next roller coaster ride in the NFL.
That's beautiful. Just a couple more here for Mike. Hey, from not responding to the Denver columnist to almost messing up the North Dakota State University win, talking about the Colorado Buffalo, is Deion giving you good content again this season?
Well, it is good content. It's different from last year. I mean, last year they started so strongly that I thought, hey, this guy could be an NFL coach. He's dynamic. He's magnetic. He's engaging. He's a good salesperson for a program. he commands your attention no matter what he says, no matter what he does. And I remember last year when they played USC and there was some weird play calling down the stretch when they were trying to come from behind. The clock was ticking and there was no real sense of urgency. And after the game, no one asked him about it at the press conference. And there's been this kind of cult of personality vibe, and it's gotten worse this year where you can't criticize, you can't ask a tough question. I'm disappointed that a guy who was such a great player and who would seemingly understand that people have a job to do and that asking a tough question doesn't mean that there's dislike for or hatred of the individual who's being asked the question. It's just unfortunate that he doesn't understand that. And I think it makes it very hard for him to ever have a career in the NFL. I think the performance of the Buffaloes makes it very hard. And he said he doesn't want to go to the NFL. Now, he may feel differently when his son's playing in the NFL, but he's not going to be able to control the media at the next level the way he's managed to kind of get them under his thumb at Colorado.
I have an idea for you if interested. You should send father and son of mine to Pat Shurmur, all right, offensive coordinator for the Buffs, or I can just bring them when I go to family weekend in late October to see my daughter. And I say that because he loves mob stuff. I just remember that about Pat. He loves mafia and mob stuff. What do you think about that?
I don't know what he thinks about me, though. That's it. So he may not be willing to sample the merchandise because he may not like me very much, but that's okay. If that's the price you pay for, being candid and honest and telling the truth when somebody has made a mistake with a coaching decision or
we'll see
how they run a program. So
we'll see. Maybe I'll
just scratch out my name. Scratch out my name, and you can give him a copy of it, and maybe he'll like it.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring a copy of Father and Son. All right. Now, in closing,
well, you may as well take yours because it's not like you're going to read it.
Stop that. That's why I regretted going down this road. Most unpredictable, intriguing, because there's just so much new start to a Minnesota Vikings season for me in recent memory. What are you expecting from Sam Darnold?
Well, this is his best and last chance to show that the prior 6 seasons have been not really his fault. The Jets have ruined many a quarterback. They possibly would have ruined Patrick Mahomes if they'd had the opportunity. Then he went to Carolina, which has become one of the most dysfunctional teams in the NFL under the stewardship of David Tepper. Matt Rule was the coach. It didn't go well there. Last year in San Francisco, he didn't get a chance to play. I thought we were going to see him that Sunday after the Monday night game when Brock Purdy got concussed by the Vikings. Somehow Purdy got cleared on a 6-day turnaround, and he played against the Bengals. So Darnold is a guy that has a lot of fans in NFL circles who believe that he's got a great arm. He just hasn't had a great opportunity. There's no opportunity better than what he has this year. The bar is low. I've seen some people suggesting the Vikings are going to have the first overall pick in the draft. He's got Justin Jefferson. He's got a good enough offensive line. He's got a running game that can be potent if Aaron Jones stays healthy. Jordan Addison could take a nice little jump in year 2. At some point, TJ Hawkinson's going to be back. The defense under Brian Flores is good enough. This is it for Darnold. He's either perennial backup who eventually washes out the bottom of the NFL, or he does enough this year to be taken seriously as a starter and presumably would land somewhere else in 2024 with a contract that pays him accordingly. For 25.
My man, we'll watch you tomorrow night. Enjoy enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the weekend, crazy as it is. Enjoy the games, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks, pal.
See you, bud. That's Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, author of a book called Son of Mine, and you can find it at all of your favorite book purchasing spots. Sneaking up on 10 o'clock into the middle portion of the Wednesday 9 to noon radio show. And we believe we will begin it around the corner with quarter-century play-by-play voice for the Chicago Bears. Jeff Joniak is set to join us next.